We're back in session for our final presentation of the day, so we hopefully we're saving the best for last, we'll see. And I see we've already seen some folks here today, so, but anyhow, everybody's been up to introduce themselves, so we won't go through that process. But the way to say it's going to be done, we will score each presentation, and everybody's been really good today, so it's made it difficult. And I thought we would finish that today, but that's not going to happen today because I've taken 2 or 3 pages of notes on each presentation so far, and it's going to take me some time myself to go through and score each one individually. So if the rest of the board doesn't mind, if you'll do the same, and if you'll get your scores to Ms. Woods no later than next Wednesday. And on the 17th is our next full board commissioner, is that right?
That's right.
Then I will make the recommendation to the full board at that time. So, having said that, I'll turn you guys loose.
All right. Thank you very much, and certainly appreciate the opportunity to meet with you today, and for the purpose of presenting our team for this great project in Wayne County. I'm Grimsley Hobbs, and with Hobbs Architects, and I have a design team which we'll introduce. Let me show me this. Okay, here we go. All right. All right, there we go. Sorry. All right, thank you. Let me get myself oriented here. Some of the folks that you've seen, you'll see on our team, we've met with you before. We've worked with them. They're here because they're good, and we've got a good seasoned team of architects and engineers with experience in projects like this, and we think we have a lot to offer Wayne County. This is I'm Grimsley Hobbs. This is Taylor Hobbs, my son, architect with Hobbs Architects. This is Siobhan File. We're a growing firm, and Siobhan has been an architect in our firm since last year. So we're excited to have her. Jeffrey Carnegie, B.R. Carnegie, probably know him. We have Derek Ham with Intech Engineers, Goldsboro firm. And we have Anna Lynch, who's with Stroud Pence, Structural Engineers. We like to think of ourselves as being fairly hometown folks. I came here in 1975, so I lived here for about 30 years and had a firm, Parton and Hobbs Architects. I was practicing with Gary Parton, and we had the benefit of many projects, many great projects in Wayne County, and for the county of Wayne as well, some of which we'll talk a little bit about today. Children grew up here. I don't know if some of you may know Grant Alley. I married his daughter, married up into a good family. And my wife was a teacher and a principal here for her career with the Wayne County Board of Education. We are committed. We've been in Pittsburgh since 2005, and we have had a good group of projects since then, and a lot of work for Chatham County, which we'll tell you a little bit about. We are committed to Wayne County. We still maintain projects in Wayne County. Do pretty much ever since we've been in Pittsburgh. Currently have one that's going to be the new North Carolina Wesleyan College out in the old R.N. Rouse building, and we have a project over at Cherry Hospital, and we keep projects out at Seymour Johnson. So Goldsboro is still home to us in many ways. We have had over many years a strong relationship with the county planning, county inspections, Goldsboro city inspections, Goldsboro planning departments. We've worked for them on many projects for many years. So we have strong ties there and know how to work. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. We have LEED accreditations. Taylor and I both are LEED accredited architects. We have engineers who are LEED accredited. We don't understand that this is a LEED project, but we do all the projects that we design, we're very conscious of resource conservation and energy conservation, and so no matter what we design, that's a priority for us. We do have 2 LEED Gold projects to our credit, two of which you'll see today. We do have something that I'm sure is important to you. We have a track record of being on time and on budget. You can't be successful with projects like this if you're not on time and on budget. So that's a high priority to us, and we understand it's a high priority to you. And we want to be a partner in the design of this project for you and for Wayne County. It's a great project. We have a project that's a bit like this in Chatham County right now, which we'll tell you about. So we have direct current experience with projects involving agricultural center, agricultural offices, departments, and that sort of thing. We've been to the site. came by there on the way into town today. We've been to the site. We think you have a great site. One of the best views in Wayne County, and certainly a wonderful agricultural vista across those farm fields out there adjacent to the old Smithfield Road. And we think it's a great site, something that would be a good site for a project. We also have experience with design build and with design bid build projects over many years. We certainly understand the design bridge build concept, and we are capable to work with you on any one of those delivery forms that is in your interest. And we could advise you on that as well. But we are experienced in that, and we do have design build projects going on. Have had some in the past year and have one underway now. What I'd like to do for a few minutes is let each of our team members say a few words about their firm, and starting with Jeffrey. Jeffrey, if you'd like to say, and then we'll go to Derek and then to Anna.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Cornegi with Cornegi Land Surveying and Engineering in Goldsboro. Officer right across the street here at the corner of Walnut and William. My father, Bobby Rex, started the company in 1965 with land surveying. I joined the company in 1991 with civil engineering. We provide farm, commercial, residential land surveying, planning for sites, for commercial, residential. I do civil engineering for roadways, water, sewer, storm drainage, erosion control, permitting, DOT permitting. Done a lot of work with the county in the past, different projects. Name a few: the animal shelter on Cleanwood Street, the board and building parking lot there on James Street, and the parking lot at the Sheriff's Annex on 17 Bypass North. Love working with the county and have a lot of success with them. I know this project, I believe this project is in the city limits, the project, and if it has to be permitted through the city of Goldsboro, we have a great working relationship with them also, with the planning department, engineering department, inspections. So either way, we have a great working relationship with them, and look forward to having an opportunity to work on this project. I'll be providing any boundary survey, topographic location survey, then we'll turn that over and do the engineering for site design up to the building to where the architects, Taylor and Chevron will take over. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. From Intech Engineering, we are a local firm, been here 20 years. Everybody in our firm has grown up either in Wayne County or an adjacent county. But we specialize in PM&E design, obviously cutting edge anytime we can, trying new systems. I showed you before, we do some BIM, we'll do energy modeling, and of course any kind of lighting controls. We have numerous projects through Wayne County through the years. We've we started counting them up. We've got over 30 that we know of. We've done a lot at Wayne Community here in the city, and a lot of little school projects here in the county. But, you know, we are very conscious, as Grim stated before, not just to go put a new system in because you think it's a neat idea. You know, obviously money drives a lot of things, and so it's got to pay for itself. And we have the programs to analyze that. We'll do life cycle cost analysis, and there again we'll do building modeling to make sure you get the energy savings that you think you're going to get out of a system. We've done numerous mechanical systems, anything from, you know, wells, water source heat pumps, solar heating, all the way up to your big chiller systems. We've done it all. So I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Hello again. Anna Lynch with Stroud Pence. I am principal in charge for the North Carolina office, and we're located in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we are a boutique structural engineering firm. That's the only thing we do. That's what we're experts at. We're working currently in Wayne County. I'm actually the engineer of record on the new Cherry Hospital. And I'm also working on the K through 12 school renovations and additions that were just recently awarded. So we have experience in Wayne County. We've been here for almost 20 years in North Carolina, and we have over 30 projects in this county. And, you know, like I said previously, agriculture is part of my history, and this would be a really great project for Stroud Pence to win, for me personally, and because of what we can provide you. And what you guys are looking for, from what I've seen, is something unique but really comfortable. And what we do is we sit down and actually do a preliminary design on the building with several different types of structural systems. By doing that in the very beginning, we can come up with the best structural system for your needs, but also the most efficient structural system to give you the project in budget and you know, give it the unique feeling that you want. So we're really excited about working on the project, and we're excited to work with Hobbs too. So we look forward to it. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm Taylor Hobbs, Grim's son, and as he said, it really does feel like in a lot of ways we've come home. I grew up here and lived here, moved away in 2005, so it certainly is nice to be back and tell you a little bit about why we think we're uniquely qualified to design this project, because we're really going to be partners for a long time. And we think with our experience, not only with this building type, which we're currently working on, a building very similar, but with our understanding of Wayne County, having grown up here and understanding what's important here and the community here, I think that is sort of an intangible element that can pay dividends. We've been lucky enough over the years to work on some important Wayne County buildings. You've certainly all know these buildings. While practicing with Parton and Hobbs, we did the restoration on the old courthouse, which still looks good today, I'm proud to say. The technology building at Wayne Community College, we completed that in the early 2000s. The county office building, formerly the Borden building, was a successful project. Was a great rehab of that building, which had sort of sat empty for a while. And then did work at Goldsboro High School, my high school, and that was rewarding to be able to work on that building. Finished up there in the early 90s. So we've been lucky enough to work with the county on important buildings. Next slide, please. And coupled with that, we've done a lot of work with the city of Goldsboro. You know these buildings just a couple blocks away. The addition to City Hall, which housed certainly most of the departments, one of the most important being the inspections offices. We've talked a little bit about our experience working with the local inspectors. We certainly do that with our continuing work that we do in Goldsboro. But we actually design their offices, and we're intimately familiar with their processes. Next slide, please. I think we did a good job, a good enough job to do Phase 2, which was the restoration of the old City Hall, which rode by earlier today, still stands very proud and looks very good. And it was a successful completion to bring that project together. Both buildings complex, complex programs, complex in the way they went together. Had to take care with the old building, so we're versed in complex buildings and programs, and I think that will translate well to this current project. Next slide, please. In addition to working, here and in Pittsburgh, we've done work down at the coast. This is Fort Macon down at Atlantic Beach. I'm sure many of you've been there. We restored the old fort maybe 10 years ago. That was Phase 1. Did a lot of work with the state, worked through state construction on that. And Phase 2 was the actual visitor center, which if you have been there, I hope you think it was a nice building. We are proud of it. It was a LEED gold building, the first LEED building owned by the state outside the university system in the state of North Carolina. So that was a successful project. So we have a reach really across North Carolina, and so Pittsburgh being less than 2 hours from here is well within our capacity. Next slide, please. Like Grim said, we like to stick close to home. We've made good relations up there, just as we had with Wayne County and the city of Goldsboro. We do a lot of work with Chatham County. This was Central Carolina Community College, a building about the same size as the building we did at Wayne Community. This was another LEED Gold project, the first in Chatham County. Successful project with site development of about 60 acres as well. So, next slide, please. Not sure if many of you may know this building. Most people, if they hear Pittsburgh, go, that's the roundabout city. And we had a roundabout fire in 2010, which destroyed the building. And we were lucky, and that was our project. The roofer accidentally caught it on fire. That was our project when it burned, and we were lucky enough to be able to restore it. So, very complex building structure, a lot of detailing. We're good at that, and that would translate well to this project. Next slide, please. Right now, we've just finished a renovation to the county manager's office. That's Phase 1. This is the county manager's office just south of the courthouse. Phase 1 is the east side of the building. Phase 2 is the west side of the building, which we renovated Register of Deeds, county manager's office. The next half is finance and the tax office. So Phase 2 will begin January 2015. Next slide. We did the Chatham County Department of Social Services. A good renovation and addition project. First project we did when we actually left Goldsboro. That was, I think, 2006 and 2007. Next slide, please. And this, I'm going to turn this over to Siobhan, but I think you can see with our track record, you don't get repeat jobs with a client if you're not responsive, hit your budgets, do things the way they're supposed to be done, and deliver them well with the intended results that we programmed for the owner. So I think you can see we do have repeat clients, and that's the reason. We pay attention during design, we listen during design, and we pay attention in the field and hold the contractor to the design documents. And we take a lot of pride in our construction administration in the field observations. That would be no different here. And it all has to be done correctly to get a successful job, and that's what we feel like we will bring. We know we can bring to this job if we're lucky enough to be selected. So thank you for your time.
Hello, everyone. This slide is representative of work that I performed while at another firm. As Grim mentioned, I joined Hobbs Architects last year, and prior to joining Hobbs, I worked with HH Architecture, who I think that you heard from earlier today. This project, though, was one that I was responsible for while there as the designer and project manager, and it is a dairy museum with the North Carolina State University at their dairy education unit. It's a working dairy farm where they actually get the milk that makes the Howling Cow ice cream that you have at the state fair. It was, for me, a very, very, it was just a really exciting project. We got a lot of really great one-on-one time with several of the residents of the dairy farm, and the cows are just beautiful down there. And this project was intended originally to be a showcase for NC State's dairy production heritage and history. But what it turned into was actually kind of a stepping stone in a much larger idea about creating a agricultural heritage trail through Wake County at some of the surrounding sites. It's such a rich history that we have throughout the state, and so they saw that as an opportunity there. And I think it's important for us to talk about that sort of thing with you guys, because I think that you're going to have that opportunity with this Agriculture Research Center, and an opportunity to educate, an opportunity to engage the public, and we have experience with that. So we thought it was important to show you this and kind of think about this project coming up in those ways. So I'll turn it back to Taylor.
Like I said, I think we do have a unique understanding of Wayne County and how things are here that is unique to this project. I think coupled with that, our current project, the Chatham County Agriculture and Conference Center, I think that we are uniquely qualified to help you with your project. I was reading through the programming booklet that you had prepared, and I was really not surprised, but it was really telling. It's very similar. It's bigger than our building, not too much bigger, but the same spaces, the same functions. It's very, very similar to what we're doing right now, and I think that the perspective and the things we've learned along the way, I think, can bring a unique element that will help this project. We may be able to advise you on some things that you may not have thought about. We may say that we wish we could have done some things in this building that we may have the opportunity to do in your building. So I think that the current experience that we have right now applies directly to this project. That being said, a little bit about this project. Sort of a hard slide to read, but if you see that red border outline, that's the site. That's Highway 64 Business. Is there a cursor? Yeah, there you go. There. Here we go. This is 64 Business. This is our local community college in Pittsboro, Central Carolina Community College, and the county just purchased 100 acres adjacent to that, a wooded area, with access to 64 here. And what this shows, this is our building, approximately 32,000 square feet, with an exhibition barn planned for the future in this area, with parking development around, with stub outs for future development, and a link back to the community college. We have a big wetlands area we've had to stay out of. We're in the Jordan Lake rules, erosion control measures. We have very strict erosion control measures. So this is a very sensitive site, not unlike yours in a lot of ways, but this is the scale and the scope. We're developing about 20 of the 100 acres right now, so a relatively similar size and scope to what your current project is. Next, can I? Yeah. This is the floor plan, the basic breakdown of departments, forestry, and the cooperative extension agency, a central entry lobby for the agriculture offices. This sort of division line is the split between the offices, the Chatham County Agriculture offices, which will have a daily function. They have their own separate entrance down in this green area, so that the civic side, it may be shut down when there's no events. It probably will be. So we have it to where this building can function as two buildings on any given day, or one building if the whole thing is open at once. So we have this office side, and on the civic side, here's the main public entrance, into the building to a nice central lobby. This blue area is the main exhibition hall, which will hold 400 at tables and chairs, 800 seated individually, and it can be subdivided into 3 breakout rooms themselves. 2 smaller down here, 1 bigger up here, all with state-of-the-art AV equipment, projection screens, working closely with Derek right now. That's one thing I mentioned. We're working closely with Intech right now on this, designing the lighting control systems, HVAC systems. So we've got the team set up already doing this. But that is the big room. We've got a small stage area that doubles as a furniture storage when it's not in use. And then on this side, we have 3 small breakout rooms that will hold probably around 50 to, it's 60 people seated on just seats, 30 people, tables and chairs. Again, those have movable walls in between. It can be opened up to a big room. So very important in Chatham County is flexibility of space. They don't want rigid spaces that can't be used for different things, different functions. Some things formal, some things less formal. It was important for them in their lobby, their central lobby. They see that as possibly being an event space. So it's open, airy, whether they set up small booths there. It's thought of as a very inviting, welcoming place, and it's actually going to generate some income. They've already booked a event there early 2016. So that's the building we have. Again, 32,000 square feet. About 1/3 is offices, about 2/3 is the civic side. Anything else? I think that's about the floor plan. That gives a good overview. Next slide. This is an interior shot of the main exhibit hall, like I said. It is about 6,000 square feet. Here's one of these doors. This is where the subdivision, the movable partition, can split the building in half, and then that far half can again be split with another movable partition here. So this big room can be subdivided into 3 smaller rooms. Paying very close attention to acoustics. You can see the acoustic wall panels. We have an acoustics and AV engineer who's specifically dedicated to making sure the sound is good. You don't want to get in there and have a bunch of echoes. Same line of thought. This is the small breakout rooms that all of the partition walls are open, so it's shown as one big room. But you can see this would be a subdivision with a movable wall that tucks into that door, and again down here. So 3 small spaces or 1 big space. Flexibility, a key issue. Again, you can see the acoustic panels on the walls. So a lot of detailed attention, not just to the way the building looks, but how does the building function. And that's been very important. This is a quick exterior bird's eye view with 64 business down here. There's the main entrance in the site, roundabout, drop off to the front door here. If you're going to the ag offices, you can come around here. Their entrance is on this west side. Parking, plenty of parking. Loop drive around the building with a service entrance in the back for deliveries, drop-offs, things like that. We do have a catering kitchen as part of the program to where it can be catered events. We have a commercial kitchen. That is the commercial kitchen. We have a teaching kitchen for cooperative extension too. That's a big part of this program. They do cooking classes where they teach young people, how to do things like that. So, site access, deliveries, things of that were very important in this project. Next slide, please. Just some 2D elevations. This is what you see when you drive into the site off 64 on the bottom rendering. The top rendering is what you see when you're going to the ag offices themselves. So again, 2 entrances depending on what you're going to the building for. Some perspective views, a lot of glass. This is oriented east-west. To allow for maximum southern exposure for natural lighting in the main spaces. And as far as programming, pretty simple program. A lot of this, a lot of the same as will be in your building. When we have a comparison, Grim will go through that. We have cooperative extension. We have 4,000 square feet. We have the Forest Service in our building. I understand that is not going to be in your building. But we had about 1,000 square feet for Forest Service, the Farm Services Agency, 1,200 square feet, Soil and Water, 1,200 square feet. We had a decent amount of storage, and then the conference center took, the remainder of the building, and that's mechanical spaces, all of the things that make a building function, for a total of 32,000 square feet. 300 parking spaces. I think you all are programmed for 400, so more parking, but similar. But I think Grim will go through the comparison, but I think you'll see that we're really primed to work on a project like this because of our recent experience, and we feel very lucky to be selected. So you can take them through the remainder. Thank
you. And before I start on that, I will say this, that in the Chatham County project, we did the space studies and did the programming, but you have done this is a great document. I mean, this is a very extensive evaluation of your programs and some site options, and there's been a lot of work done. So that's to your credit, and it makes the designer's job much easier to start with. One of the things and this building that you have is different than ours in some ways. One thing is you have a research center here, and that's a big deal. There are only 3 of them in the state. And one of the things that you want to do, I think, is play this up. You've got a research aspect. There's an education thing. You want kids to be able to come there and learn there. And so research is important in this, and so we think that's something that needs to be addressed in the program that going forward. And the only reason to compare these is to at least talk about some of the similarities. And in terms of, if we look at some of these spaces, space requirements, yours are some significantly larger, some are maybe a little bit larger. We have the question marks there for the Forest Service because when we had to send this in, I wasn't completely sure that the Forest Service was in or out. But the Forest Service isn't part of this building, so we found that out between the time we sent it in. So anyway, so that's not there. But the other departments are essentially the same, with the exception of you have Cherry Farm Administration offices, and you also have the Center for Environmental Farming Systems, which is another important element of this project. Excuse me. So your total square footage is over 56,000 square feet. So that's a large building. And we're going to talk about how that might fit on site coming shortly. You have 400 parking spaces, and in the outside facilities, you're calling for 2 pavilions and a greenhouse and some exterior restrooms, which all are understandable. And in our particular project, it's really the farm community and the extension agent there really want to have a livestock farm. They want to have a show place to bring animals and show them and that sort of thing. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But we do understand your program, and we understand this book. We've been through it quite carefully, and we give you a lot of credit for that. Now, what we have here is an aerial photograph of your site. This is the old Smithfield Road right there. This is O'Berry Center, all of you know. That's the main entrance to O'Berry Center. This is the old dairy farm, right here. This is the that is the Center for Environmental Farming Systems over here. But these are a group of buildings that, at least on one of your site plans, shows the new building sort of being located there. And these are all farm fields out here below, which I'm sure you all know very well. Next slide, please. This is one of the photographs looking from the site out across those fields. We think it's a terrific view, and nothing could be any better for an agricultural center than to have that kind of a view. Next slide. Got some cows. Have your Center for Environmental Farming Systems, which is part of the project too. That's an interesting facility a little bit off to the side. Next. These slides are some of the existing buildings, which aren't really accounted for in your program here, but we're thinking that that some of these buildings are actually, we think that they're valuable, and they're in reasonably good shape. They could be used as part of your expanded program. Chatham County would love to have that barn. That's in a lot of ways exactly what they're asking for. But this is a metal frame barn, open space inside. Go to the next slide. This is another one of the barns that are there. That is a livestock barn for loading and unloading animals, but it's in good shape. If some of those partitions were removed, it could also be a pavilion. You're calling for 2 pavilions. Those might be of some use. We would recommend that you consider that. So go to the next slide. So back to where we were. Those 2 barns, that one is that's the bigger of the 2. That's the smaller of the 2. And these other structures, we think, are of no particular value. They're either in poor condition or not suited for anything that we see in your program. And we think that, so what we want to talk about, go to the next slide. So this is an idea that we bring to you. It's one idea of several. We had more than one, but we felt like this one could show, at least conceptually, something that how we would approach the project. Let me go back. This is O'Berry. That's the main entrance to O'Berry. Old Smithfield Road. That rectangle right there is the larger of those barns that we were looking at. The smaller of the 2 is actually over here. It's not on this particular aerial, but it's still within the frame of what we're talking about. So, having said that, for a variety of reasons, we have said move the building slightly down to the west and the facilities so that you can preserve these. And then for some reasons, it makes a lot of sense to line up with O'Berry because of DOT and safety reasons, traffic reasons, and everything. So, but these areas are to be seen as parking. This is to be seen as a possible location for your building. This would be parking that would be public parking that would be coming to your facility. These two lower parking areas could be seen as staff parking, service access to the building. And then on this particular drawing, we've shown some pavilions here, greenhouse here. Those are ideas. So you can see how it fits on that site. And we think it does fit. And it still keeps those existing structures. That particular footprint could be either a 2-story building, single 2-story building, which is one of the concepts discussed in your program, or it could be a combination of 1 and 2-story, so that some areas of the building are 1-story and some are 2. We think after study, it could be either one of those 2, whichever makes the most sense, either for program reasons or for financial reasons. But it could be, and so one of the things that's shown here, I didn't mention, is this line right here is actually a retaining wall, so that the upper side of the building is you enter on the upper level, and then the back of the building is a 2-story structure, so that you have the ability to either make it all 2 or partially 1 and partially 2. Your exhibit hall, your main space, is basically a 2-story space anyway. So that makes sense that would be in the 2-story portion of the building, whatever that was. And the offices could be laid on either side. They could be on one side. This is simply a concept. This is the southwest view, O'Berry being here. I think you can see, this is Old Smithfield Road, and the fields beyond here, so that you can see how the building might sit on this offset in the topography. This is the floodplain transition to the Neuse River Valley. That's the edge of the valley at this time. And obviously anywhere the Neuse River is, it's got a valley cut like that. But this sits right on that thing, which is an opportunity for this building. For one thing, it actually places it high up on the rest of the site, so you have the view. And then our idea and our thoughts is that you actually would have the back of the building that would open up into glass so that you'd be able to see out across it. That would be part of the view from that building, would be part of what makes that a great place to be. And so you have the public on the upper side, on this front side, and then you have your staff and some of your activities on the lower side, and then you can still tie back into these farm fields so the farm continues to operate. You haven't cut off any of those access paths, but then you could actually reuse some of those existing buildings that you have there, which we think are really valuable to you and could save you some money in terms of what the program and meet your program. Go to the next one, if you would. This is another view from the opposite side looking northeast. I think you get the idea. You see the retaining wall there, and so that there would be a matter of getting the levels correct so that you would come off of Old Smithfield into an area that could be flat, and then step off at a retaining wall and step down to another flat. We see this lower area below the building here to be a plaza, so that you could have demonstrations there, you could have outdoor classes. It's a place for people to meet and to actually use an outdoor space that's connected to the building. If you have on your main exhibition hall, the main floor would actually be on the lower level. So once you leave that exhibition hall, you could actually go outside and you could have demonstrations, you could have equipment that you might show, farm equipment. That's one of the things that Chatham wants to look at. They want to be able to bring things in and show farmers and show what's going on, what's the latest thing, systems that work better, that sort of thing. So we think that it's actually sort of makes the most out of that agricultural setting, which we think is spectacular. Let's see. Go to the next slide. All right. This one's a little different. This happens to be Lane Tree Golf Club. I designed this building for Bill Lane when we were here a number of years ago when I was with Parton Hobbs. And what you see is an aerial photograph of the building. You can see the building in the middle there. This is Salem Church Road over here, which it's amazing to me to go out there and see what it looks like now. But there's parking. This actually sits on the same floodplain transition that your site's is. It's just another location on the same floodplain transition. Golf course is below. This building is about a little less than half the size of your building. This happens to be, when I designed it, was a 2-story building. A few things have been added to it. Go to the next building, next shot. This is another angular shot. You can just sort of see how that parking works, how the transitions work. I just wanted to show you that actually it can work pretty well. It's a 1-story building on the upside, as far as you can tell. All the entrances, public entrances, and then switch to the other. And that's the side that faces out, which it would be the backside of your facility, looking out over the golf course. So it opens up, and when you're there, you can see the panorama of the golf course below, but you see it has service, it has activities on the lower level. So at least as a concept of something which probably this building you've probably been to at one time or another, you can see how it might work. But so we think there's some similarities there. And the only other thing that I'd like to say as we close our presentation is that your RFQ did specifically address design build, It addressed bridge build. And we are familiar with design build. We've done many projects as a design build team with a contractor. We do most frequently design bid build, so we're familiar with that. The new delivery thing on the block is design bridge build. And we know what it is, we understand it. Architects, engineers take the project through 35%. That's a normal progression for us to design, what we call design development. So you take it through that 35%. At that point, all the major decisions have been made. You've made the site decisions, you've made the civil engineering decisions, you've made the systems decisions. They're not all designed yet, but all the major decisions are made. The budgets are established, and the building is in concept whole. What hasn't been done are the documents, the drawings, and the specification that tell the contractor how to put it together. At that point, that's where the transition occurs for the design, for the contractor and the second architect to come on board, pick the project up, and finish the documents, and the contractor puts your budgets together before they start construction. So that's something that the 35% sort of demarcation line is something we do all the time. We understand, and we could be a good team member for you on that if you chose to do that. So any of those three delivery systems would be something that we can be successful with. We'd like to be a team member with you. We have a good design team. I'm really pleased with who we have here today. We've worked together before in many different ways over a number of different years. And I know that this is a responsive team, a very talented and professional team. And we just like to be your architects and engineers. So is there anything that you'd like to add? Okay.
One thing I'd like to add, he went through the scheme and the concept, and we think that has a lot of merit. But we don't come with preconceived ideas. We don't come feeling like we know what the building looks like, exactly how it's laid out. What we've shown today is meant to be a design and conversation starter, generator. We need to sit down, see specifically, departmentally, what you all want. Some of those ideas are good, they'd be in there, some may not, but we don't come with preconceived notions of what this has to be. We need to talk it through, understand your exact needs, and go from there. But that's a good place maybe to start the conversation, and we certainly would like to have more conversations about it. Thank you.
Questions, gentlemen?
What is your firm's approach to construction administration?
It's very important. Best design may fall apart if you don't have a good follow through during construction. And we are dedicated to that. We watch construction very closely. We actually received the State Construction Award in 2011 for our project delivery services that year as being exemplary.
We won that with Daniels and Daniels.
With Daniels and Daniels.
For the Fort Macon business.
For the Fort Macon
Excellence
project.
in project implementation.
With-
It was a contractor and design award.
But we think it's important that we're on the site, that our documents, our drawings, and our specifications are tight, and we're proud of that. If you don't check, things don't get done. You have to check them. How things go together very often is important as to whether or not they stay together. So each of those phases of the construction both, not just from architects, but from our engineers as well. Have to be on site. We have regular meetings on site. We document everything. You're included in the documentation. We meet with you on site if you've got questions. It's just an extremely important part of the project. And in the case of Intech, they came in part from a construction background, so they understand things in a different way than some PME engineers do. I came from a construction background. So those kinds of things, how things go together are extremely important, and you only get that way by watching.
Let me add a little nuts and bolts to that. We typically, someone from the design team will be on site at least once a week, during which time we go through whatever stage of construction there is. We have a written report of each site visit with who was there, what was discussed, important points, decisions that were made, and they get distributed. Everything gets distributed. Sometimes, Derek will be out there. He sends me his report. Everything goes from the architect's office. We're the point man. We're your contact. Everything emanates from our office. Whatever email list typically is email, and we send out that report for everybody. So if anybody else can read through it and they go, whoa, well, what's that? It comes back to us and we address it immediately. But there's no magic to it. It's just nuts and bolts, on the ground, eyes on the work, documenting, making sure that what's going in the field is what's been designed, and we're your eyes on the site, and we take it seriously. And you don't win that high state award without doing just that. So that's sort of our approach.
I think it's also important to note that the people that you would see on site, it's going to be the people sitting here too. We don't have a separate construction administration department. It's going to be Taylor or Grimm or I that will be there and very engaged. We'll be all the way through design and then all the way through construction. So we'll have you covered on that side too. So.
Well, your Chatham County project got going. The Chatham County project, have you broke ground, or are you getting ready to, as I understand?
We had a groundbreaking, but the bid is actually in August.
We just bid the site package last week.
I talked to one of the commissioners the other day, that's why I
Right.
asked that. And this may be an apples and oranges question. I know there's a smaller, what's the cost of their project?
Total budget of 11.5 million, construction budget of somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 million.
You know how they're paying for it?
They did
I don't think so. I know we have a deadline to bid it in August because they've got their funding mechanism, how they apply for it is in September.
Okay.
So I'm not exactly sure
Okay.
exactly how they make, but I know how they're applying for it is in September, which is why we have our deadline in August.
And to follow up on his question about funding, we don't have all the money in it, as you well know. Do you help any out with either brochures or digital promotional things that we can take to private folks who may want to be part of this project?
Yes, we've done that on a number of projects where we may take it through enough of a design to have some nice marketing materials. Those images you saw, the 3D, those are pretty blocky, not really something you'd want to have in a pamphlet, but we would develop those, and we have graphic capabilities to help market that. In the past, we've had owners who wanted us to come make presentations to groups to create some excitement. We've made presentations to farmers in Chatham County, numerous presentations. Sam Gross there, he was a real important. He's really the drumbeat of this project, but when he needs us, we're there short notice. He's like, I got a meeting tonight, 7:30 out at Silk Oak. Can you come do the presentation and talk about where we are? The answer is yes. And so we do help facilitate that, and we've done that on numerous projects.
That retaining wall that you were talking about, you don't see any problem with soils or anything there about doing that, or?
I don't see
I mean, I like that panoramic view like you have at the golf course, and I'd like to have something similar you could look out and see.
Well, the retaining wall could be one of, in the case of Lynch, there really isn't a retaining wall because the slopes are a little different. But we're used to doing retaining walls in Chatham County. That's just the way that place is.
Never done one here. First three.
Everything you do has got retaining walls. But I think it's partly a matter of what the actual transitions are. I mean, it doesn't have to be a full height retaining wall. It might be a short retaining wall, which then the slope. So it's a matter of, we don't necessarily want to do a big retaining wall. In fact, we may really desire not to have a big retaining wall, but the transitions in those elevations needs to be accounted for somehow.
So we may have to bring some better soil in, if that's in fact.
Well, I'm not an engineer, that's why I'm asking.
But they actually, it's amazing what these engineered retaining walls, I mean, they can be huge, and they're, just for the sake of the discussion, I mean, they're not a problem. And really, that site's got a few retaining walls on it right now, actually. They're concrete. But it would be, probably, if it was a retaining wall, it would probably be a segmented.
I can talk about it.
Good.
Okay, so the good soil's up on the hill, right? Bad soil's down low. So the retaining wall actually helps you because you're retaining back the good soil, and so now you can build the building up on the good soil and then half of it on the bad soil, so you're actually saving on your foundation system. So it actually helps you. So I think the retaining wall is a great idea.
I had one question.
Yes, sir.
Taylor, in your part of it, you were talking about that 6,000 square foot space and how you could split it in half and then you could split it into quarters. And I like that concept. I wasn't real clear. Was that part of the exhibit part or was that part of the conference room?
That is the main exhibition hall.
It was the exhibition.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was the, it's a 6,000 square foot, go back. Right, yeah, right here, that blue rectangle, that's 6,000 square feet, right here, and there is it subdivides in half right here,
Right.
and then we had it where it was in quarters, but they said they wanted to have one bigger opportunity, and so these two subdivide into half, but yeah, that is the main exhibit hall.
Right, so that's where you're saying three. One of them would be half.
That's
the other
one half, and
you
then
could cut into quarters.
that's 2 quarters, yes, and then there's 3 small breakout classrooms here.
And since that's the exhibit hall, I'm just curious, what kind of flooring do you use? Because it's a multi-use.
They were very specific, they want concrete.
Okay.
Because they're gonna bring tractors, I mean, they're bringing tractors in, they're bringing equipment.
And that's why I brought it up.
Yeah,
I wanted to be clear.
we're doing a 6-inch, we're using a 6-inch slab. We would,
With what finish?
it's gonna be, what the finish we have right now is a ground finish. It's actually a polished concrete, it's not just a sealer, it's ground. Probably something like you see at Lowe's, which they get, if you keep it up, probably the one out here on Royal now is dirty, but when they can look really polished and nice if you upkeep them. But that's what we have in there. It's a challenge acoustically. Hard surfaces, so we have an acoustic ceiling above, and then we work closely with our acoustics engineers for acoustic wall panels on the walls. But
I noticed you had commented that you put in acoustic panels, so that's what you did.
That's what we did.
Okay.
Yep. And it's how they're going to use the room. You don't want carpet. You want something durable, but you have to overcome it with acoustic treatments.
Very good.
Yep.
If you're bringing in equipment and perhaps animals at times, what kind of, I mean, how is it going to be clean? Is it going to be drained where you wash it down or what?
I don't, we've not heard animals are coming in this building. They may, but if they do, there's no drain. They're going to have a shovel. But yeah, that right now, one thing, there's a big garage. This is a stage. Now, we have done at Sampson Community College, we did a veterinary science building there where they actually did had a table where they do operations. Yeah, they did operations. We had wet floor and we sprayed it all down. So we've done those types of spaces, which I know.
I'm getting ahead of things, I know.
Yeah, but yeah, we have, and this is a storage area for furniture back here, but there is a big garage door off the service court, excuse me, where you can bring in tractors and equipment and have this as a vendors can set up, but there's no drains in those floors. It's actually, the finishes on the walls are pretty nice, and if they upkeep that floor, the floor is going to look good.
We just have some flat bottom shovels hanging on the wall.
What's that? Yeah, that's right. If they bring animals in, they're on their own. Don't ask for a drain. You didn't have to.
They anticipate using that exhibit hall for weddings even.
Yeah.
And so it had to be a flexible sort of surface.
And that's what's interesting. This is an Niagara Civic Center, and the first thing booked there is an antique show. So it's interesting. They're looking at this. I'm sure you are. This is gonna be this is a big capital project, but it's going to give you some return. It's already given Chatham County.
Heavily on the ag side.
And it is there. Also, I was surprised. It was not an ag event to begin with, but they're going to get some money moving through there. So.
One other question. Looking at that design, how have y'all taken into account, at some point, obviously, they're going to need to expand. Could y'all
I'll show you. If you go back to the site, that's not the best image, but what?
One of the perspectives.
Let's see. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Right. If you see, well, this mouse is throwing me. Right here on the civic side, you see the parking is pulled back from this. All of this. Here's the expansion space right here.
The envelope there.
Yeah, and it can come to the east, and it can also break back to the north. And if you see that we have a northern wing for offices on this side, so the thought is when they expand on the civic side, they can go back. There's the expansion space. That's why you see that kind of field there, but that's future use. And on the office side, they can actually swing back to the east as well. So there is built-in expansion capabilities. Now, when that may happen, we don't know, but the land is there. Yes, sir, we sure have.
Anybody else, fellow commissioners?
Well, you gonna call on me again?
Yeah. I'm going to anticipate your question.
Oh, you want to?
No, you go ahead.
Why don't you go ahead and ask?
No. This is the exercise.
I have a question on utilities and the food sales. I'm facilities chairman for the facilities in Wayne County. We're in the middle of building the Still Memorial Library. We learned in our process there that rather than using a lot of windows, maybe glass roofs, I really like the idea of solar tubes that we have in place. They're doing a great job. And I was wondering if, as far as the utility cost, would you look at doing something like that, maybe cut down on a lot of windows, or do you anticipate using a lot of windows in your design?
Well, I would think we need to see. I'm sorry. I would think we need to talk to you about that, and I would certainly want Intech's input on. There's some benefits and trade-offs like anything. I think that in working areas and offices, I like natural light. Whether it's brought in from above or but if it's important for you that you want to minimize windows, is your building. That's what we would do, but I would certainly be with some input to try to give you. We would try to give you the information to make the best decision for you, and we would talk. Derek, you want to say anything?
Yeah, sure. Actually, we'll take this building here, Chatham Ag. They do have some clear story space. I don't know if you noticed, I'll put this wing here and the other wing. A lot of front glass. The only thing you've got to really look at is upfront costs. Can you afford all the dimming that has to go in? Yes, it may pay for itself, but do you have the upfront money to pay for such a system? So it's not only, yes, it may be good down the road. There again, do I have that upfront money to pay for it?
I'm talking about solar tubes. Which
That's right.
They're cheap compared to
not necessarily, right. And I'm comparing lighting systems.
solar tubes.
The tubes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about now.
yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Central Carolina Community College. We use 56 of them
Okay.
on the roof. And on that, and I'll show you that classroom photo. I just figured it right there. You see all those? You see that? Look like fluorescent lights. Those ones that are solid?
That's
Solar, that's it. And then you go in there, I was shocked because we had not used a lot of those before. And when I went in there, I thought the lights were on. And it was amazing how much light they throw. And so, yeah, that would be a good use. They're thrilled with them. And they're motorized because
Yeah.
the thing can close off when you want to do
Well,
presentations.
I don't think these are motorized. It's still more, but either way, I'm looking at utility
Yep,
costs.
yep.
Because, hopefully this thing's gonna be around.
That's right.
100 years.
That was done very successfully at that building.
Okay.
And we've had no roof leaks.
Okay.
There's 56 of them.
46, but I got a different question. On that project in Chatham County, how are they building that? Under design build or bid build? Bid build? Have you all I'm sure you all have teamed up with a bid build system. What are some of the firms that you all have teamed up with and used under a bid build program?
Mostly,
Thank you.
our most recent, you mean design build? Is that the question? The question is design build. Is Daniels and Daniels. It's been successful. One of the things is that as an architect, it's important, and I'm sure it is for a contractor, to know who your partner is. And so having somebody who you can depend on and trust is important. Daniels has always been good. Well, Southeastern Medical Oncology Center. We're currently working on a church in Pittsburgh with Daniels.
Where's this oncology center?
You have them here. We designed with them and built the original one was not with Daniels, but the second one was. We built on Wayne Memorial. In Wayne Memorial. And then we just finished one in Wilson, and we just finished one in Jacksonville as a design build.
I'm sorry, a follow-up question. And where was Daniels and Daniels from?
Here.
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 They did
Here.
ours.
Right here. Yeah, you had. Goldsboro has blessed with excellent contractors. They always have been. And so, any of the contractors here are excellent contractors. And it doesn't always come up, but I think it's going to come up more and more. That's where a lot of our market is going, is to design build projects, and we want to be there. I will say too, any of our projects that involve commercial development they're not bid projects. They work with a contractor we've got a project in Pittsburgh right now. We're working directly with a developer to complete the project. So it's a process of working with a contractor to come up with a design, let them come up with a price, figure out what's the best way to finish it, and then do it. And that's the advantage of a design build.
Anything, Mr. Wood?
No, I'm good.
You've had a lot of experience with design build.
Yes.
You as well as you, both of you.
Yeah, Daniels and Daniels, and I don't know, a lot of y'all probably see Bobbitt design build signs, especially up around Raleigh. We've worked with Bobbitt for years, and there again, like Grim said, I think the advantage of working with design build is having the contractor up front and constructability. Obviously, he can direct as far as cost. They're just very good with constructability. So we actually enjoy, I just enjoy design build.
You really have to think about it. If the contractor selects people like us and our firms to work with them, they know that we're going to provide and work with them the most efficient building. And so contractors are smart, and it's about the money. And they pick the best teams for what projects they do design build. So that goes to show for us as a team. So.
Anyone else? Any closing statements you'd like to make?
Only that we certainly appreciate being here. It's nice to be back in Goldsboro and see you, see some faces we know, and we'd like to continue working in Goldsboro. So wish you well with your process, and hope we'll be a team member with you.
Appreciate you coming. Excellent presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Gentlemen, I think we're done. Joe, you can head to the beach. You can go to the beach now.
This is the situation now.